getting out and about in the Volvo V40 R Design D4 190. Bit of a mouthful that. Yeah, we're currently around the Suffolk countryside, just enjoying the kind of rural roads and just testing out the handling really. One of the big things about having one of these cars is the fact that a lot of the people that want to buy these cars will use them possibly as company cars, possibly to commute daily and do high mileage in really, hence the good fuel consumption figures that they will obviously achieve. So what you obviously want to make sure that you'll get from one of these diesel hot hatches, if you will, is yeah, one, probably good handling. You want a bit of comfort probably, because you're going to do a lot of mileage in them, and that's the only downside to a lot of these diesel hot hatches. Also, they tend to be a little bit more tightly sprung. You've got obviously this one, which is the R Design, so it's a little bit more tightly sprung than most of the other ones, so stiff sport suspension. The GTD is exactly the same, the Volkswagen Golf GTD, very sporty model, so it has, you know, fairly tightly sprung again, and the Seat FR 184 is probably very similar as well, because again they're all certainly the Volkswagen Audi group spec cars have got the same underpinnings. So a bit of a good, well, a fairly good test is to kind of see what its kind of pulling power is, and you know, from kind of these little obscured lanes where you've got to get a big bit of speed up straight away to get out of these dangerous junctions. I'm going to do a little test. I've got the traction control still on. I'm going to pull out fairly hard, obviously a bit of wheel spin into second, into third, loads of pull. Probably very similar to a lot of the other two cars that I was talking to you about. All three of them really pull. I mean, they've got such high torque figures. This car here, obviously the Volvo we're in, it has 190 horsepower and about 300 foot-pounds of torque as well, so it has a lot of power. Power comes from a 2-litre diesel twin turbo engine, so a little bit different to the other two. The Golf and the Seat just have one turbocharger, still 2-litre as well. And handling wise, honestly, if you had to pick one of the three, I don't think there's a lot in it. All three of them handle absolutely amazing, and they're really good fun. The Volvo we're in, it shares the same underpinnings that the Ford Focus does, so it's got great heritage in the fact that we know the underpinnings are great. The Focus is an absolutely fantastic handling car, so you know, it means that this is obviously a really good handling car as well. The brakes are very good on this. One of the things that probably a lot of people won't talk to you about is actually the brakes on the car. These Volvos, which probably are a bit dissimilar, which differentiates it probably from the Volkswagen and the Seat, and I'd have to check that, but I don't think they'd come with as bigger brakes. These Volvos come with 320mm brake discs as standard, so the brakes are absolutely phenomenal. They really are good, and yeah, that can also get you out of a spot bother. I had a tight corner that I just come up to then, and I had to put on the old anchors, and I must admit, really hauled us down nice and quickly, which is great. So I mean, acceleration's important, but braking's as important. I mean, if you go on a track day, everyone will probably tend to agree with that. It's very important. Your tyres, your grip, and also your braking. So yeah, it's a fantastic handling car. It really goes well. All three of these diesel hot hatches that I keep on talking about, all of them are nearly as quick as a hot hatch. They're probably about as quick as what I would call these days what is a warm hatch, which is, you know, like the GTI. It used to be a hot hatch. It probably still is a hot hatch, but hot hatches typically now you put them in the category of the Cooper 280, the Golf R. They're all around 300 horsepower, and obviously the Golf is now, you know, flagging and falling a little bit behind with about 230, 240 horsepower. They're still very quick and they're still phenomenal cars, but these diesel hot hatches, they're about as quick as something like a Golf GTI. So, and then you get, you know, much better you know, fuel consumption as well, which is brilliant. So they're a great alternative to something like that. They're probably not going to be quite as raw and mad as something like a GTI. Not that they are raw anymore. They're quite, you know, they're quite comfortable and whatnot, and you can kind of live with them. But it's a really cracking car. All three of them are absolutely brilliant, and there isn't much between the three. They're, you know, there's a difference in price, not much. They're all roughly about the same price. They're all fantastic cars, to be honest with you. I would say go drive all three of them yourself. See which one you think is the best. I've driven all three of them, and I just think they're great. I think all three cars are brilliant, and I don't think you'd be you know, far wrong if you go for any of the three, to be fair. So again, talking a bit more about the interior, guys, as I said before, obviously really nice kind of dash and whatnot. Let's talk a bit more about seats in a Volvo. If anyone's ever sat in a Volvo of late, some of the modern ones, even some of the old ones, to be fair, they're really nicely ergonomically designed. And I think I remember reading something about how Volvo get an orthopedic surgeon involved in the design of and the structure of designing these seats. So basically they're really good and lovely and comfy, great for your back. They're leather trimmed. Even in the rear they're really nice as well. So it's got, again, really nice, lovely high quality interior. You've got these which I quite like, these pull out cup holders in the centre console there for the back as well, which I really like. Nice little touch, really, as we discussed a bit earlier on, we've got a few little bits and bobs in there, but obviously the boot space is really quite nice. Comes with twin exit exhaust out of the factory again, and they are proper nice tips on there as well. And you don't really get much of a note out the back of it, if I'm honest, which is a shame. I wish it. I think the Golf from the back and out of the exhaust probably does sound a little bit nicer. But they're lovely. They come with, again, the R Design comes with the 17-inch diamond cut alloys, which are really nice. Well, I think they're nice anyway, but again, subject to what you think. At the end of the day, so one person's love is another man's hate. But I like the look of the car. I'll shut everything for you again as well. Again, nice little thud when you close the doors, and it is, like I say, really probably nice. Out of the factory, I would say that it would be nice if the car was a little bit lower, to be fair. I think Volvo should have made it a bit lower. But in saying that, if you did, I think with a car that you drive every day and you're, you know, bombing around and you hit, you know, ruts and things like that, you probably wouldn't want. Actually, really easy. Obviously, it's on a hydraulic fitting as well, which is really nice. I like that, because you've got no chance necessarily of it coming down and hitting you on the head when you're, I don't know, either doing a repair or putting some water in or whatnot. But yeah, to be fair, these are, like I say, the motor on this car is absolutely superb. It's probably one of its best features. Very torquey, very powerful for a D4. Okay, so basically talking a bit more about the D4, the reason why we're testing the D4 model is because obviously we're talking about the three cars that we call diesel hot hatches. The reason why we're talking about the D4, which we've got in the test today, we're talking about that one because obviously it's the only one that really you can compare nearly to a kind of current hot hatch as such. So that's why we wanted to test drive the D4 and the R Design in particular, because again it's the most sportiest model in the range. And essentially that's the only difference, is you can spec any of the individual cars up how you want. There's lots of different kind of optional extras. I think there's 6 different packs you can go for. This one is a D4 R Design Lux nav, so it has all the kind of mod cons, and also has the upgraded or the optional sat nav, which comes with like a 7-inch TFT screen, which also has a built-in media player, which includes internet connection, internet connectivity and web browsing, as well as a full DVD player with really nice surround sound as well. And I've tried that, it's absolutely amazing. Pitch quality is really good, and the sound's unbelievable. The speakers and the in-car entertainment in this Volvo are top notch, to be honest with you. They're really crisp and have great clarity. So watching a film in one of these is really quite nice actually. And to spec up probably the Golf to be comparable to this, I would say you would have to spend considerably more money. If you spec'd up a Golf to be similar to this, you'd probably be knocking on somewhere around about 33,000. They do start at around late 26s for a GTD, but like kind of £27,000 margin or area. But as soon as you spec them up to have a bit of equipment that you probably want if you were driving it daily, if you were out on business, it can end up being quite pricey. The Seat FR on the other hand is probably similar to the Volvo. You can really spec it up, and it probably like this model, and it still comes in at a fraction under £30,000. This model is about 28.5, nearly 29,000. Again, talking a bit more about the interior, talking about the sat nav. Sat nav is a Garmin sat nav out of the factory. Well, if you've got the upgrade, should I say? And it's really good actually. It's pretty decent. It's taken me to pretty much wherever I've needed to go. Talking about the media system that's on here, it's got this kind of centre console set up on here. It is quite complex. Probably after navigating it for about a week, you will get to the point where you are quite you will know your way around it. It's complex. It's got the telephone keypad on the kind of console down at the bottom there. It is quite good because if you do want to type in a number, you know, straight away you can kind of you know, punch that in and get a call through that way, rather than obviously scrolling through your phone, which you definitely shouldn't be doing when you're driving. People probably are guilty of it, but that's yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. And that's why that's a good little feature. You can scroll through your kind of your phone book through the menus, through the scroller here as well on the steering wheel, nicely. Once you know how it kind of all works, it's really quite good. Okay, talking a bit more about the practicality of the car. Had this car on test for quite a while, which is great. So I've done plenty of miles in it. I've done some long journeys, some short journeys, and it really is it is a cracking drive. Just one thing for you to kind of all know is it's based, obviously, as I said before, on a Focus chassis, and the R Design version that we have here, the 190 D4, it is based on a Focus ST chassis, the ST diesel. So it's a really good chassis. Handles absolutely superb. It's not too bumpy. Like I said, I've done long journeys with it, and you can go long distance and it's not too jarring. It's definitely firmer than any of the other derivatives that are not R Design derivatives and don't have R Design the name. Basically, they will be a little bit more softly sprung. But when you do have an R Design model, it does have sportier design cues and kind of sportier looks and a few nice touches that you get, which I like, and I like it being a bit more sporty. So and yeah, it just makes it feel a bit more like a hot hatch, as I said. You know you're sitting in a diesel and you can hear it kind of you know, thudding away and in the background, but it doesn't sound too bad to be fair for a diesel. It sounds really quite nice. So I give it a little bit of beans now. It's got a gruff kind of sound. Yes, you can still hear it's a diesel. I mean, it doesn't sound as nice as a raucous hot hatch and a sporty high horsepower, you know, hot hatch, but it does sound quite nice. Still got quite a nice engine note. When you're kind of idling or when you're kind of coasting around, it does become quite quiet. Externally to the car, it's noisy-ish, but yeah, it's not too bad at all, to be fair. But it's easy to live with. We've had it for a fair bit of mileage now, and we've gone a good distance with the car, and it's comfortable enough. So yeah, it gets thumbs up from me. Really like it.